All right. So welcome to the Wednesday night session. This one is a more of a special one because this one I'm actually going to introduce the new revised Purpose Quest. And when I say revised, like last night I changed it. So if you go, I'm going to share my screen. Um, so let's see. So when you go to the Dream Team website, and again, you do Catalyst resources and you type in life is good wherever you get there. It's actually the first tool. So you'll see tools and then Purpose Quest activity. So what I've done is put the link, it's a Word file, so you can download it. I'll have the video, this video there. And if you want, you could actually do the practical purposes activity with it. Um, so if you want to do that, you could find that there as well. Okay. So I just wanted to let you know that those things are up and running. Um, and I also, as a side note, to let you know, um, all the workshops I've done, like recently, so the Catalyst Bootcamp deep dive I did in Milwaukee 2 weeks ago, those workbooks and slides are up. And the boot camp, which was the 3 day, those workbooks and slides are up. And then the one I did at UNCG a month ago, those workbooks, the workbook and slides are up. And all the links to the character resume are all there. So if you want to use any of those, they're all up and running and ready to go. So, so I just wanted to let you know that's where you could start finding everything. All right, so I'm going to get out of this. Does anyone have any questions about the website, the updates? So, all right. So we're going to go into the practical purposes. So again, this is a newer version of the tool. As you know, and you all know me, there'll probably be a newer version coming out after this. But I think I'm pretty set with this. So we're just going to stick with this for now.
So you changed the title from Practical Purposes to Purpose Quest?
No, there's two. Practical purposes is one activity, and then the Purpose Quest is another activity. But if you want
Oh,
to do the practical purposes as a lead into this, you can.
okay.
And I
I
share that because when Ivor and I did a workshop um, 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago, that's how we approached this. We actually did the practical the purpose quest, and we introduced them to it doing the practical purposes.
where does that name come from, Practical Purposes? Because that name doesn't, I don't know, resonate with
There's
me.
a book. It's actually a term used by an author, and it's Shad. Having meaning, finding purpose, an answer to the loss of meaning and value in a chaotic and changing world by Shad Helmstetter. He actually, he created the tool and it's called Practical Purposes. I just adapted it
I,
because,
yeah, I like what it is. I just
well, it's his
not
work.
too sure about the title.
Well, it's his work and I'm giving him credit for it. So I'm not going to change it unless, yeah, I'm not going to change it. So we'll leave it at that. But the Purpose Quest, if you, many of you know people when they pursue purpose, they think I got to find my purpose, and it's this one thing. And if I don't find the one thing, then my life is not complete. By the way, you can interrupt me during this if you want. So I created this activity because these two books, the HBR Guide to Crafting Your Purpose and Having Meaning, Finding Purpose, um, these two books were very influential on me creating this tool. So what I found is that purpose doesn't necessarily have to be one thing. It could be many things. So what I've done is taken the work by John Coleman and Shad Helmstetter, plus reading some other books, I decided, you know what, I'm going to create a different kind of purpose quest activity. So that's what this is. So you could see definition of purpose. Purpose is the ongoing action-oriented, never-ending process of becoming the best version of yourself in service to at least one thing bigger than yourself, to live with personal excellence, make the world a better place, and create for a better future. Purpose provides clarity on who you want to be, what you want to do, where you want to go, and how you want to live. Okay, so that's the definition. What are the components of the purpose quest? So it was 6 as of yesterday morning, and I added a 7th because I started doing some readings, um, and I reread these 2 books, and then I read a couple of articles on purpose stuff. And I'll tell you what these, so connection, legacy, expressive, accomplishment, religion, personal philosophy, enrichment, and service. So these are the 7 paths you can take to explore purpose. Not everyone is going to be able to do all 7, but at least it's a starting process. Accomplishment is actually what I added last night. Because when you see the definition, there's a difference between accomplishment and achievement. So when you think of so achievement is very me-centered, and accomplishment is very we-centered. So it's for the greater good. So that's why I added accomplishment last night. So here are the definitions. It's CLEAR-EASE. I haven't come up with a better acronym. So it's CLEAR-EASE, CLEAR-EASE. I don't know. I just had to come up with something. But so the C is connection. Pursue and cultivate deep, meaningful relationships with people, groups, and communities that provide mutual support and growth, i.e. spouse, life partner, parents, children, family, friends. And then legacy, provide specific ways to help the world, leave something behind, create something that lasts, or contributes to the benefit of humankind, such as through your job, motivational speeches, videos, publish a book, mentoring, board membership at a nonprofit, philanthropic, activities. And then expressive, seek out creative pursuits that are appealing, adventures that produce awe and wonder, and or rewarding experiences that bring joy to yourself and others. And then accomplishment, achieve goals that arise from personal growth, resilience, and meaningful activities that benefit others, which are deeply intertwined with one's character development and the fulfillment of meaningful endeavors. And then religion, personal philosophy, follow religious faith and develop philosophical beliefs that help you interpret the world and your place in it, connects you to a higher power, and or provides a guide to the good life. Enrichment is number 6. Engage in activities that enhance your growth, allows you to practice your craft, inspire you to set and complete personal goals, and encourages self-development and self-improvement. And I actually might take out the personal goals. I'm still debating on that, because it doesn't necessarily have to be goal-driven for enrichment. It just could be for the fact that you're doing it. And in service, unselfishly use your time, talents, and resources to care for, give support to, and help others in need. So those are the 7 parts of paths of purpose. So instead of focusing on, I have to find the one thing, what if you can incorporate at least one of these things in your life? It could move you towards living a life with purpose. So you could see, on the next few pages, there's worksheets attached to it. I'll show you those in a second. Here's a note, and I put this in there because it came up in some of the conversations I've had with people. Before anyone partakes in a purpose quest, he or she must have their basic needs met, such as health, well-being, safety, security, food, clothing, water, shelter, warmth, money. It would be easier for someone to go on a purpose quest if these basic needs are met. So it's really hard to go on a purpose quest if you haven't, if you're struggling with life stuff. So I wanted to put that caveat in there. Now, some of you may want to do coaching stuff. So what I've done is give you a list of questions. And I think it's like 20 or 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 12. So 25 purpose questions. So if you want to start, you can start with the questions. The set of questions actually address each of the 7 paths to purpose. So some aspect of each some aspect of the question can be attached to one of the things up there. And then for fun, I decided to kind of look for some Purpose Quest inspiration. So if you're looking for inspiration, so this is what I was doing last night. So I was looking at videos. So I found a few videos, and then I found a few articles. And then, of course, there are a few books. I mean, I have probably about 30 or 40 books on purpose, but I just gave a list of like 5. And then movies. So these are some really interesting movies about people trying to find themselves and find their purpose in life. So these are some interesting movies, and I have attached trailers, the links to the trailers. So I've put all that stuff together. So if you want to, like, for instance, when I did the original version of this, um, the requirement was they actually had to watch What is the Purpose in Life, this one, and Know Your Why by Michael Jr. So they actually had to do those 2 before I came and spoke. This was at a Unitarian Universalist church in Wilmington, North Carolina. So they had to do some homework before. So that's, but I figured it might provide some help in terms of motivating purpose in others. But then there's 2 worksheets. The first worksheet is how has purpose shown up in your life in the past and to present. So think of your past and present. So, in connection, lists of 3 people, groups, or communities that played a major role in your life. Legacy, list 3 instances where you've made your greatest contribution. Expressive, experiences that brought you joy, wonder, awe, beauty, accomplishment, religion, philosophy, personal philosophy, enrichment, service. So the first worksheet is really having people think about how has purpose shown up in your life in the past and up to now. And then the second worksheet is how do you want purpose to show up in your life in the future? So you can go either way. Like if you're coaching someone, let's say you want to coach someone on the Purpose Quest, you can have them do the first worksheet. And then when they come back, you can have a conversation around the path of the first one and then give them homework on the second one and then have them go through, which is what I did when I was down there. Although I had it much shorter, but I wanted to give space. So basically, it's coming up with at least one thing to incorporate purpose in your life in the future. So that's the newest Purpose Quest. So it's a pretty short activity. My pastor, my minister at my church is very intrigued by it. So she's like, can you do it in an hour? I'm like, of course I can do it in an hour. So what I would do is, show maybe 1 or 2 videos, have them go through, talk about what this is, and then have them go through how does purpose show up in their life right now, and their homework, how can you incorporate more purpose in your life, and then come back and have a discussion. So that's probably the way I'm going to do it. Probably start off with the practical purposes, and so that they can see the connection between the practical purposes and their Purpose Quest. So I wanted to just share that with you all so you could see that it's there. If you ask me, what's my favorite movie on purpose would be Soul. Has anyone seen Soul? It's a Disney movie. Yeah, it's probably the perfect purpose movie. to me. Although I've been watching the clips from A Dog's Purpose. I don't know if anyone has seen that, but I'm going to rent that this weekend for Rebecca and I. So imagine purpose from a dog's perspective. It's a really interesting movie. And
So,
all the ones I've seen except the Hidden Power Purpose, I haven't seen. That's a documentary. I haven't seen that yet. So good. Great.
so say again, what if you were doing this in an hour, you would
Or
you would
less,
show a couple of those first two videos that are the classics.
right?
And then you would have them do practical purposes right off
So
the bat.
what I would do, so the way in the workshop, if we're going to talk about purpose, we would do Soul Pancake. What is your purpose in life? And it's a bunch of people talking about what purpose is to them. And then we would do the practical purposes, which is, it's a list of like 125. And I would ask them to narrow it down to 10.
Okay.
So if you, and
Yeah.
I can pull up. So basically, it's just a list.
Did you say that you would show Soul Pancake and then you would ask them
No, I
to get,
have them do the practical purpose activity.
oh, just do the practical purposes?
Yep.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then you could show any of the videos, like Find Your Purpose, Know Your Why, Find Your Why. Any of the videos would be fine for the purpose quest. I went through each of them. I thought the one that was really interesting, what if the purpose of school were purpose? If you haven't seen that one, you might want to check that one out. It's a really interesting video of what if we helped young people find purpose as a school thing. That was really interesting. But any of these you can do before you do the purpose quest. And then
Okay.
go through the purpose quest. And again, start with the present. So give them, if you give them 3 to 5 minutes for each one, and there's 7, you can give them about 20 to 25 minutes to fill in the worksheet to come up with up to 3.
So you're not, are you going over the 7 paths at
Yes.
all?
Yes, that's what I said. Yeah, that's what we would go
Oh.
over.
And then you're not doing those questions if you don't know where to start, you're just going right to the worksheet?
I wanted to give you the questions in case you don't have, like, you may want to just do the questions. Like if you're working with someone one-on-one, you may want to just start with the questions and ask them these kind of questions. And you don't have to ask them all 25, but you might give them 5. Just to have them think about it. You start the conversation. You could also, one of the things that we did, what you could do is give the group, like, let's say you're doing this in a workshop, you can have them partner up with someone and have them do the questions for the partner. I would say you probably need to give them at least 30 to 40 minutes. Like if I was doing it in a Life Design Catalyst workshop, I'd probably have to give you an hour. So you could go that route if you want. But I wanted to give a lot of options to help people pursue purpose. But the goal is come up with something from each of the 7 areas. And the bottom line is it's not one thing, it's multiple things. So purpose can show up in your life many ways. And that's the goal. So don't focus on, I got to find the one thing. Say, oh, I could find purpose in the Life Design Catalyst community, or I could find purpose watching a sunrise or sunset. I could find purpose by helping, this particular community volunteer experience. So it provides multiple ways for people to explore purpose.
So, and you were saying not not doing the past, present, and the future back to back, but doing one, like either with the one-on-one or in a workshop, and then the other one is the homework?
That's how I would do it. When we did this 3 weeks ago with the church group, we just went to the future part and we
Yeah,
just had them come up with, how could you incorporate more purpose in your life? Is there one person you can connect with to form a deeper connection? Is there something you can do? And we had them just do one of each because we didn't have enough time to do the past, the present. So we only focused on the future.
how did that go with just focusing on the
Oh,
future?
they loved it. Because the comments were, we never think about stuff like this. We always thought it was related to our job. We've never
Yeah,
thought of purpose as it could be other things.
yeah,
And then we had them share with a partner. So they shared, we had them create their list and then they got to share what they put down with another person. So that was
yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah.
Um, and I'm sharing all this because I've been working. So as I talk to more people about purpose, um, they've been asking me, so what strategies do you have to help people find purpose? So this is one, practical purpose is another. You can look at the mission statement and the service catalyst service statement as other ways. So we have multiple ways to help people explore purpose. Um, so any other thoughts, questions, comments?
Can I throw something out for
Sure.
consideration? Just because when you first were talking about the past paths to purpose, and we're talking about the seven, and said this is the not really an acronym, but kind of an acronym that you've come up with at the moment. Here's a way to add on to your word, take it or leave it. You won't hurt my feelings. But if you add the T for transformation, because I think part of finding purpose sometimes is because you're going through a personal transformation, whether that's because life happens and something causes you to have to look at life a new way, you're growing and you're changing. But then also as we find our purpose, that allows, and we transform through that, it allows us to then kind of walk in our purpose and then help others transform as well.
So
And
Mine
then you have,
becomes
and then
clearest.
you have the
Does
word
everybody-
clearest. And if you think about when you go to the eye doctor and you know how they're flipping through to figure out which one is more clear, what we want in our purpose, hopefully, is to be clear in that at some point so that we can then walk in our purpose in a clear manner. And then, as we walk in our purpose, it allows other people to walk in theirs too. Just a thought.
That's good. I like it.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So to be honest, I'm going with the research.
Got it.
Yep. And the research didn't talk about that.
Gotcha.
Um, I think when I did the one with John Coleman, he actually came up with just 6, which was, used the acronym LABORS. So love, avocation, beauty, occupation, religion, and service.
Mhm.
And then Shad just had a list of 7. He didn't have an acronym. And it, what you just shared, one of the things that it made me think about, other than the T for transformation, it makes me think of the My Life, My Story,
Mhm.
where we have the deck of disruptors, the list of disruptors, and what
Right.
things have happened in your life, and then how that has, and we have them create a courageous self statement.
Right.
Um, so one of the things that would be really interesting is how you make combinations of stuff. So you have this, and then you add stuff. So I at least wanted to give the frame,
Right.
and like, you know what? I'm going to add T and see how that works. For transformation, you come up with a sentence, and then go from there. Um, because when I put accomplishment, like I said, I put accomplishment in there last night, because I was reading, I think 7 or 8 articles on the difference between accomplishment and achievement. Um, and most of them talked about accomplishment is very we oriented. So if you think about purpose, you know, become a better you in service of things bigger than you. So imagine setting goals that are bigger than you. So for example, you could have a family goal. Like I had financial in there. So for me, my financial goal is to be able to take care of Rebecca and myself and the dog. So it's not, I just want to have more money, but I want to be able to have money so that we can live a comfortable life, the three of us. So that's a bigger than you thing. But thank you for that. That was awesome.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Any thoughts? Of course, you don't have to raise your, really, you raised your hand. You could do like the little raise your hand.
I'm being polite because in this setting, it's hard to see what other people have if they're waiting their turn to talk. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be describing this correctly, but I appreciate how at the beginning you talked about the hierarchy of needs and how some of this does incorporate probably an amount of if I may say, life privilege to be able to sit back and think about this and ponder and reflect on this in a meaningful way. It is a gift, to us truly. Um, I was thinking about um, more, this aside, but alongside it is how we a lot of times we find our purpose through hardship or an experience that could be viewed as traumatic. And I'm not suggesting that the T that Angela suggested be a double T or anything like that. Um, I'm just thinking about where that would fit in. Again, this is just where my mind has been just recently, so I'm kind of thinking about this. But the boxes and the setup that I saw from the first worksheet and how it can be done in two different versions. I was also thinking, Bill, about how this could be done with incoming high school, college freshmen. And I think that would be good. I just know that with some students, they've had some interesting life experiences. I'm just thinking about how and where that would fold in to how they found their purpose, maybe because of that. That's all. Maybe that's more story.
Well, and think about, if you think about the core emotional challenges,
Mm-hmm.
where you're identifying the stuff you went through that you want to help others go through. So that might be, one of the tools you can use. So, and I share that because when I was down in Georgia, I went to one of the bookstores and I got 2 books on basically how to get people through stuff. So I started reading one of them. And that has to be something that is incorporated in this work in some capacity. I mean, we do it through the story of my courageous self, where you list, what's great and what's a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And we do it there, but I think I might come up with, and I think we also do it. Are you surviving or thriving? Are you surviving or thriving?
Yes.
Because we have that activity, which a lot of people don't know about. But that's also on the website. So if you want to help people decide where they're at, whether they're surviving or thriving, you can actually do that activity. So we do have some activities to explore some of these, but I think what you and Angela talked about, I think I want to do something deeper. So at some point. So
Yeah, all finished up. Okay.
all right.
Man, here. Brand, they just finished.
Oh,
I got you, Marianne. I think they just finished the hamburger. So anybody else, any thoughts? So this is another tool in your toolbox that I'm going to add to the stuff. And again, you can do it as the practical purposes. You can use that with this. So you kind of do the overview of what purpose looks like, and then you can actually look at specific things here. So you can use those in those combinations. So cool. All right, so I'm going to stop the share and see if anybody has any other questions or thoughts before we stop the recording and just have like a normal conversation. All right, I'm gonna stop the recording.